Force Publique, or the Ubawa March. The Force Publique were initially conceived in 1885 when King Leopold II of the Belgians, who had the Congo Free State as his free property, ordered his secretaries of the interior to create a military and police force to protect the colony. So soon afterwards, in the early 1886, Captain Leon Rogers of the Belgian Army Carbinas was sent to the Congo with orders to establish the force. A few months later, in August 17, 1886, he was promoted to the commandant of the Force Publique. A number of other Belgian officers and non-commissioned officers were also dispatched to the territory as the Belgian officers, as the nucleus of the officer corps. The officers of the Force Publique were entirely European. They were comprised of a mixture of Belgian regular soldiers and mercenaries from the countries who were drawn by the prospect of wealth and simple attraction to the adventure of the scramble for Africa. So that's basically a rundown of the Force Publique, because in the Congos were made in 1809, the Congo Free State under King Leopold, so they didn't really have a baptism of fire. So the baptism of fire is World War I. So in 1914, the Force Publique, including the Taikanga companies, were totaled about 17,000 askaris, with 178 white officers and 235 white NCOs. The majority served in small strategic garrisons called postes, with the preliminary role of them being a police role. With the outbreak of World War I, however, the Kanganikis units were organized in battalions Li and Yemi for military service in northern Rhodesia, which was part of the British Empire at the time, and the eastern front of the districts of the Congo, which is near German East Africa and German Southwest Africa, as well as a small territory next to the Belgian Congos, which is Tanganyika. The Force Publique was able to assemble another battalion from a smaller unit. Originally they called the Lille, but changed to the 11th E to avoid confusion with the Kankaga Limi battalion. During World War I, an expanded Force Publique served against the German colonial forces in the Cameroonians, German East Africa, which is today part of Tanganyika, Rwanda and Burundi. As part of the East African campaign, the Force Publique performed well on the battlefield, winning the respect of their British and Portuguese allies, as well as the German opponents. From 1916 onwards, the Force Publique grew to reach the strength of true mobile groupies, which are Bali's, Kiev, Ruzini, and Tanganyika, comprising of the total of 15 battalions. Kivu, Razizi, and Tanganyika, comprising the total of 15 battalions from the Strategic Garrison and Police Force of 1914. However, it did take until late 1915 for the Force Publique to finish preparations for a large-scale offensive on the German colonies of German East Africa. Allied powers, the British Empire and the Belgians, launched a coordinated attack to the German colonies. By 1916, the Belgian commander of the Force Publique, Lieutenant General Charles Tuber, had assembled an army of 15,000 men, supported by the local Bears and the advance of the Kangali. The Congolese were taken on May the 16th, 1916. The German army stationed in Burundi were forced to retreat by the numerical superiority of the Belgian army by the 17th of June 1916. Burundi and Rwanda were occupied. The Force Publique and the British Lake Force in Lake Tanganyika then started a thrust towards Tabora and the administrative center of the Central German East Africa, which is in Tanganyika. So that is the Battle of Tanganyika on the river. The army went to take on Taruba on the 19th of September after heavy fighting. At the time, the Battle of Taruba in September 1916 was about 25,000 men under arms during the war. During the war, their actions were supported by more than 2,600,000 local British. In 1916, Charles Tumbre was made the military governor of the Belgian-occupied East African colonies. After the capture of Mahiligi in 1917, the Belgian Congolese army controlled roughly one-third of the German East Africa colony. After the war, it outlined the Treaty of Versailles. Germany was forced to seize control of the western sections of their former German East Africa colonies to Belgium. On the 20th of October 1924, Rwanda Udini, which consisted of the modern-day Rwanda and Burundi, became Belgian League of Nations mandate territories, with Oberstadbody being its capital. And that's basically the role of the Belgian Congolese soldiers of World War One. Hope you enjoyed. I think the concessions in China were nothing much to talk about. There is the siege of Tsingtao, but that is nothing really notable. That's the only major Chinese involvement in the war. And there's the Chinese Labour Corps, but that's basically China in World War One. So the Belgian Force Publique, which is the Ubermensch. And thanks for watching. Learn something, of course.